Hello everyone. Good evening. Welcome to this session. Good evening, everyone. Okay, I see people replying. How are you all doing? Thank you for attending this session, everyone. How are you doing? Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, Narendra, Shivani, Shrikant, Sudhir. Welcome to this session. How are you doing? Thanks a lot for attending this session on a Sunday evening, everyone. I know it is difficult uh, to take out time over a weekend, but I'm glad that you all are here. So, how are you doing? Students from Geekster, students outside of Geekster, how is it going? How is the preparation going on? I see 46 people have joined already. Good to see this turn up. Let's hope more people join in as soon as possible. What about you, sir? I am doing good. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you so much. Cool. What else? It must be cold in most part of the country, especially in North India, right? People are enjoying the winters now. Good evening. Good evening, Muzammil. Cool. Cool. Let's start in another minute. Right. I was waiting for more people to join. We'll just start in another minute. Okay. Meanwhile, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. Sorry, something wrong with my connection. Cool. Anyway, cool. Let's start, everybody. So today, we are going to talk about a very, very important topic. The topic for today is how to build your career as a front-end developer. Last week, we had a similar session of the complete roadmap to becoming a back-end developer, but this session is more front-end focused. We have a lot of students who are aspiring front-end developers who love to create beautiful user interfaces, who like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, all these different technologies. Um, Very often, there are a lot of questions that people have in their mind. They have doubts on how can they become a good front-end developer, or whether they need to study X or Y, or which technology to use, which framework to study, whether data structure algorithm is important or not. Right? So many doubts you all have, many questions you all have. So the agenda of today's session is basically to cover all of such doubts and um, to help you all by providing you the correct path to become a good front-end developer in the industry. Okay. Um, our guest for today, it's a live session. It is a live tech talk with one of the industry expert. So our guest for today is one of my good friends. His name is Anil Kumar. Hi, Anil. Are you there?
Hey, hi Vikas.
Hi, Anil. Welcome to the session. Thank you for joining. Thank you for taking out the time to join the session and help our students.
Indeed, I shall thank you, Vikas, for giving me this opportunity to share my journey as a front-end developer. And I hope this will be helpful for freshers and the students to, decide what career path they should take.
Absolutely. So everybody, just to let you know, Anil has had a great experience. He has been a front-end developer for more than 7 years now. He has worked with companies like Amadeus, Airtel, Paytm, Zomato, right? And he has worked on a lot of new technologies, a lot of interesting challenges, especially on the front end. So Anil will be here. He'll be sharing his experience with us, right? And yeah, also, everybody, this is a live session. It's also an Ask Me Anything session. So I have a lot of questions that I will be asking Anil, and Anil will be sharing his experience on that. And also, you all are free to ask your questions. So feel free to type your questions in the chat, and Anil will be taking these questions one by one. Cool. So let's start. Anil, before we start, would you want to like talk about your journey, like from college to Sequoia, your current company? So, like all the companies that you worked with.
Mhm.
Right.
Sure. So, if I talk about my college, it was VIP Mesra University, and I passed out in 2015. And afterwards, I started working for Amadeus. So, at Amadeus, I was hired as a Java developer, but I was put into a team where we worked on front-end technologies.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so it was the first time I was introduced to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and thereon, like I really liked working on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. You just don't need a full setup. You can just open a browser, just open a console, and you can just start typing your first hello world program. So that is
Right.
how I started into front end development. So afterwards, I moved to other companies like Zomato, Paytm, Airtel, and thereon I worked on different JavaScript frameworks like React, Backbone, Angular, as for Vue as well. And
Right.
currently I am working on React, and there are other frameworks as well, disappearing frameworks, I would say, like Svelte instances. They have come into picture because the technology is evolving every day, and you have to be up to date. So if I
Absolutely.
talk about my expertise, it is currently into front-end technologies, that is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and JavaScript framework React. So that was about the journey.
Great, great. Okay. So it's been about 7 years, more than 7 years, and in these 7 years, like technology has changed by a great deal, right? So what are some changes that you have seen in the industry in the last 7 years?
So last 7 to 10 years, the industry, it has radically transformed our lives and our daily anything which you do. The technology is at your fingertips. If we talk about from a consumer point of view, so
Right.
the technology has no it has the speed, the digital speed. It has increased a lot. The hardware and the software capabilities, they have increased a lot. So I remember when we were in college, our laptop, it had 2 GB of RAM and 4 GB of RAM at max, and we would run softwares which would hang hang on them. But
Right.
nowadays we have 8 GB or 16 GB of RAM, and we have huge softwares running on them. And apart from that, we have uh, uh, we have like the media consumption. It has increased a lot. So a
Right.
good example of that would be Netflix. When
Mhm.
Netflix started, it started as a CD, DVD rental company. But now, if you see, it has transformed our lives by transmission the content, the media via internet.
Absolutely.
So I think, and this was from a consumer side of point of view. But if we talk about the tech side, I remember when we first started learning development, we used to talk about waterfall model. So that waterfall model is not relevant in these days. We follow sprints. We have scripts, so we have to deliver weekly or bi-weekly. So
Right.
the development, this has also been affected.
Absolutely.
Has changed a lot. It has become fast paced, I would say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk about like salaries in tech industry. How do you think they have changed in the last 7 years?
I would say a lot. if I talk about my salary and my friends and relatives, the people around me. So
Right.
I won't say I won't quote any number, but yeah, these are like really, really competitive salaries, be it front end, be it back end. Uh,
Right. And earlier it was seen that the salaries in India used to be quite low compared to the Western countries like
mhm.
US or Europe. So now do you think we still have that parity, or do you think that parity is getting lower and salaries in India are also matching up?
Right, that's a really good question, Vikas. A few years back, what happened was the parity, the gap between the salaries and the jobs as well. It was
Mhm.
huge, but as like nowadays, this gap it is becoming thinner and thinner day by day. So,
Yep.
and also many companies are like their preference is becoming labor from India. They are hiring people from India, and they are offering competitive salaries. In India as well, the same salaries which they offer in US, and the same salaries we are getting in India as well. But I'm not saying that all the companies are offering that, and like every company would give you that competitive salary. But yeah, to some extent, many companies are giving competitive salaries, and this is getting better day by day.
Right. Absolutely. Great. Okay. Let's talk about your profiles a lot. So again, so you mentioned that you have worked on different JavaScript frameworks and all. So could you like again like talk about that in detail, the different languages and tech stacks that you have worked in your career?
So in my career, I have like worked on plethora of JavaScript frameworks. I started with AngularJS. So as I
Hmm.
told you, I was introduced to this front-end technologies in Amides as a fresher. I had no clue how that works. So what the team did, what he did was he gave me a project, the Angular project, and he told me to go through this project and see how it works. And
Hmm.
and uh, and I had no idea of how JavaScript works, because AngularJS ultimately it is a JavaScript framework. So in order to understand AngularJS, the working of that, you have to have a good understanding of JavaScript as a language. But I
Hmm.
did not have that. But okay, I started with AngularJS. I learned AngularJS, the syntax and everything, but I did not know the underlying principle. It is
Okay.
after some time, it took me like weeks, no, to understand that if I want to learn AngularJS, it's better if I start to have a good understanding of JavaScript first. So
Right.
then did some self-learning, talked to my tech lead, my team members, did a lot of knowledge sharing. Then I uh, got comfortable with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then I moved to this AngularJS project, and then things were pretty smooth from then. And after AngularJS, I was introduced to Angular 2.0,
Okay.
and Backbone. This is again different framework, but I knew what JavaScript is, what the underlying principle is, so it was easier for me to adapt to other frameworks, Backbone, Angular, and likewise React.
Right.
Right.
Got it. Got it. So one question here. So like in general, in front end, like usually people have the understanding that front end is just building the UI, building some HTML, CSS, and then some implementation using JavaScript or React, any framework, right?
Mhm.
But lately, when I am seeing the job description of a company, they mention a lot of things. So, according to you, what exactly is the role of a front-end developer? What exactly they do? What are the roles and responsibilities or things that they do in an application? Like, you can take any example if you want.
Right. So as a front-end developer, before that, you have to be a problem solver.
Mhm.
Like before you become a front-end developer or a back-end developer, you have to be a problem solver. And in order to solve problems, you need to understand that problem. You have to get the requirements clear. So the first step
Mhm.
comes, like the first thing which you have to do is you have to get the requirements clear. Like the
Right.
requirement could come from product team, it could come from your lead, or it could come from anyone from the team. Okay. Now you have the requirement clear, then you choose then you have to choose the tech stack. What you have to basically, how are you going to solve that problem? Then you have to you can either use framework like React, or you can use Angular. Both have their pros and cons. Whether you need SEO, whether you need single page application, whether you need server sided application, uh, so whether you need database, like what database, where will you host that, all these kind of problem that comes afterwards. So as a front end developer, and as a fresher, all you need to do is you have to first you have to be a problem solver first, and then you have to have a good understanding of HTML, CSS and JavaScript. That is of course a must. And then afterwards you have to have an eye for good UX aesthetics, like how the user experience will look like. It won't matter if you have no created a fancy website, but it is not easier for the user to use it if the end user is not able to interact with it. It is confusing for them, then it is of no use. So you have to have an eye for good UX as well. uh, so and uh, yeah, so that is pretty much for a fresher, I would say.
Right. Okay. And what about things like asset optimization, or like bundlers, or like server side rendering,
Right.
or responsive UI design? So
Right.
as a fresher, how much importance should a fresher give to these things?
So while at cracking interviews, I don't think it is expected from a fresher to know all of these things. But
Mm.
if you know all of these things, if you have some idea of these things, then it will earn you some brownie points. I would suggest any fresher, if they have time, they can spare learning about bundling like Webpack. It is a heavily used tool in the IT industry. So
Right.
Webpack has, if it has several iterations like Webpack 4, 5. Now, like earlier, I remember we used to write a lot of configuration code for Webpack. Now, Webpack 5, it comes with a zero configuration. Most of the settings are default, which is used by the teams in industry. But again, you have to have some idea of Webpack if you want to optimize your code. If
Right.
you want to do some code splitting, you want to decrease the loading time of your website. So yeah, Webpack is there. Another thing is Prettier and ESLint. So when I say Prettier and ESLint, this will assist you in writing code faster. So whenever you write a code, you are prone to make mistakes, you are prone to make syntax mistakes. So these things will be automatically detected by ESLint and Prettier, and they will suggest you ways to how you can fix it. So again, it will reduce your development time.
Okay.
Okay. Again, as I said, these are good to know things for a fresher.
Right.
Because when you go into a company, there again you will get introduced to these things from the team.
Right. How about CSS libraries like Bootstrap, Material, Semantic, Tailwind, things like these?
Right. So if you write CSS on your own, it's gonna take a lot of time and it would be error prone. So for that, you have CSS preprocessors and CSS library, which will help you write CSS faster. And there are some material UI components which will offer some components like import, drop down, everything, style components, so that you don't have to write your own styles. Rather, you can customize these input boxes and select drop down boxes on your own. They offer some APIs to, you can change the color, you can change the height, width, and everything. So yeah,
Mm.
I think these are good for faster web development.
Absolutely. Okay. I see some questions. Please share one course module for front-end developer. Please explain complete roadmap of front-end developer. Explain complete roadmap of front-end developer. So guys, just please be a little patient. The session is based around that only. But there are many other doubts also that people have. And every conversation that we are having is actually important for you all. Okay. So we will be sharing a doc with you, which has kind of the roadmap and the resources from where you can learn. Okay. But let the complete session happen, right? So that meanwhile you should also try and understand what we are talking about. Okay, this session is for you ultimately. Okay. So we will be covering all your doubts. Don't worry. We will be sharing a module. We'll be sharing a roadmap. So don't worry. Cool. Yeah. So Okay, so basically, it's more. Some of these things are good to know, like Webpack, like any CSS framework, but it's not a like a necessity for cracking interviews for a fresher.
Yeah, this is my personal opinion, and from my experience also, I can say, yeah, this is good to know for a fresher.
Okay, great. Okay, cool. Also, like in terms of the demands of a front-end developer,
Mhm.
so like how is it like is in what all companies do they require a front-end developer? And what is this the salaries of a front-end developer compared to other profiles in the industry, in the IT industry?
So, talking about the demand of front-end developers, because I would say you name a company, that company, if they want their product to reach to their consumers, they would have to take help of technologies,
Hmm.
and whether be it back-end technologies or front-end technologies. If they
Right.
want to be available on their smartphones, they of course need a front-end developer, be it mobile apps or web app. So I think the demand is huge, and there are a lot of jobs in the market for a front-end developer. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, so the demand is huge. And what was the next question, Vikas?
Yeah. Now, how do you think is the salary of a front-end developer compared to other profiles?
So what I have seen, the trend for developers, it is quite high compared to the other what do you say, jobs like product and TPM, other other designations basically. So it is relatively higher, I would say. I won't talk about any number, but yeah, the jobs in tech, they are relatively higher compared to other
The
designations.
average pay you think is
Average pay, yes, average pay.
got it. Okay, makes sense. Anil, we have a question from one of our students. Yashwardhan is asking, uh, Anil sir, I went for a couple of front-end interviews and their requirements were any of Figma or Shopify or WordPress.
Mhm.
Which one should I start working on and which one will give more opportunities in future?
See, that Figma is mainly for design purpose, I would say, if you know, Vikas.
Right.
And the other things which you said are, what was the other thing?
WordPress and Shopify.
So WordPress are for like CMS development of websites. So these two are different things. Figma would be used by a designer. So
Absolutely.
designer is the one who will tell you like what a button should look like in a web application, and
Right.
a front end developer is the one who will code that thing
Absolutely.
using HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So yeah, I know Figma is widely used across many companies. I have friends in other companies where we use Figma as a tool for web designers. Um, and WordPress again for faster development. Smaller companies do use a WordPress, but if you want to have a greater control over your product, then you'll have to have your own setup. You'll have to use your own. You'll have to build it from the scratch. So
Absolutely.
yeah, you'll have to use your own setup for that.
Absolutely.
Like, it can be React, it can be Angular, any other framework.
Absolutely. So Yashwardhan, just to like summarize the what Anil said, Figma is not really used, not really like a necessity for a front-end developer. A designer uses Figma to create the design. A front-end developer needs to understand the design from the Figma and then create the user interface. So Figma is not a big challenging thing. Honestly, it will take you hardly 2-3 days to understand or to be able to use Figma, I believe. Coming to Shopify and WordPress, as Anil said, these are called content management systems. Okay. You don't write code here. You can just customize your website using these softwares. Again, these are not core front-end developer softwares. Okay. People with no coding experience can also use Shopify and WordPress. And to be honest, the salaries for a WordPress developer or Shopify developer is very, very less in general compared to a front end developer. Okay. So so don't take a lot of stress in learning Figma or WordPress or Shopify. Focus on the core front end skills is what we would suggest. Okay,
Right.
cool. Uh, Okay, somebody's asking how many questions will be there on data structures and algorithm during interview of front-end developer. So Anil, do you think like many people have this confusion? Some people say that DSA is not important for front-end developer interviews. Some people say it is very important. So what is it according to you?
Like this is a question which is asked by many freshers actually.
Right.
So I would say yes and no. By doing DS algo, you are if you are good at it, it means that you are a good problem solver. And if you like before a front-end developer or a back-end developer, as I said, you have to be a problem solver. So it is a must somewhere. But for it is a must mainly for cracking interviews, I would say. For companies like Mang, they do ask questions on DS algo. They don't differentiate between a front end and a back end developer. You have to have a good understanding of DS algo, the trees, the arrays, stacks, and everything. You have to know this. And afterwards, then they will go to the next round where you will be asked questions on front end technologies. So, but as a fresher, I would say, sorry, that it was about cracking interviews. But
Correct.
in your daily work, which you do at any company, you won't be heavily using these data structures and algorithm as a front end developer, because this will already be managed by the backend developers. In today's generation, we keep the client side thin, so we don't write as many business logics and the complex algorithms on the client side. It is done at the backend side. So yes and no, as I said, it is required to crack the interviews at Mang and other companies which prefer asking this DS algo. But there are many companies which no majorly focus on JavaScript, HTML, CSS as the core interview questions.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you, Anil. Cool. Okay. Prajwal is asking, sir, I am from electrical and electronics engineering department. How can I become a front-end developer or any IT related? Please tell. So Anil, do you think it makes a difference if somebody is from a EC background or a double E or triple E background to become a front-end developer?
From my experience, I would say no. It won't. After your graduation, like you are as fresh as any computer science or IT graduate.
Hmm.
It is the actual thing which you learn. It is in when you join a company, the actual industry experience when you get. At college, you don't get a hands-on experience of what is expected in a company, what the production code looks like. So I think you are as good as other folks from CS and IT background. Yeah, it's just about confidence actually. I think people from CS and IT background, they have already like did some JavaScript programming and some coding. But I think it is more of a problem solving. If you are a problem solver, then you can solve it using any language. Basically, language is nothing but a syntax of how you know write, yeah, document how you document your solution. So I think it's not a big deal. If you are a problem solver, you can become a developer.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, Prajwal, to your question, it does not really matter. You can definitely become a front-end developer or get into IT, even if you are from a non-CS IT background, right? You just have to learn the technologies or the skills that are required to get into that field. Okay, we'll be covering the roadmap in a while, so you will get to know what all things you need to study. Okay, cool. Ravindra K Vlogs, we have already I've already answered your question that we will be sharing the details, okay, the roadmap in a while. Cool. Okay. Anil, one more question. Very like sometimes we hear about terms which look very familiar. So sometimes we say front-end developer, sometimes we say UI developer, sometimes we say UX developer. So is there a difference between these three, or are they three pretty similar?
So these things are used interchangeably, but there is a difference. Let me explain. When
Sure.
you say about UI developer, so
Hmm.
UI developer mainly deals with the HTML and CSS part.
Okay.
Okay. And when you say front-end developer, then more of JavaScript comes into play. So there are companies which have front-end developer and UI developer separately. The UI developer would come up with HTML code, and now the job of this front-end developer is to make this HTML code dynamic by writing JavaScript. So this is the difference between UI developer and a front-end developer. And when you talk about the UX, so UX and UI designer, basically these are the people who design the experience of any product, like how the application will look like on the page, what will happen on the click of a button, whether a pop-up will appear, or no, a new tab should open. So they define the experience of how a product is used. So whether we see tiles, whether we see a list in an application, so that is the kind of things which is decided by the UX. I hope that is clear.
Right. So it is the UX developer who also tells that how the website should look in a mobile, in a tablet, on a
right. How it should be responsive. It is decided by the UX, right?
Okay, got it.
But again, no one is stopping you to suggest any changes made by the UX developers. If you have an eye for good UX, then you can suggest like this will be a better user experience than what is given to you.
Makes sense. Okay. Cool. Another question from Prajwal is, sir, can you talk about recession? Is it in effect for 2023 batch freshers?
That's out of syllabus, I would say.
Right. So Prajwal, I think it has nothing to do with 2023 batch freshers, to be honest. If recession is there, and if it is something that is affecting the entire world, it will affect everyone. Okay, not just one person. Okay, but how does it affect you? How does it affect somebody that nobody can predict? Okay, what you should focus on is gaining skills. Okay, even if recession is there, even if inflation is there, even then people will continue to use softwares, right? So the demand for software engineers will always be there. It might be possible that the demand would decrease, okay, or people would not give a lot of salary like they are giving right now. So something like that can happen, may happen, okay. But if you have good skills, if you know the latest technologies, if you have a good understanding of different products, I would say that you don't have to worry about a lot about recession. Like these things come and go within a few months. Okay. Cool. Ganga Sagar is asking Anil that, sir, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, what we need to become a React developer?
Yeah, so as I said, React is again a library of JavaScript. So it is good if you have a good understanding of JavaScript, then like I'm not saying it is a must, but it is a good thing to do before jumping to React. You should have a good understanding of JavaScript, and then you can start with React docs. I think it's a very good place to start from, but it's lengthy, I would say. So you'll have to have some patience. If you want to learn it quickly, the basics, you can go for websites like W3S schools. They will tell you some basics, but they will not go in depth. But I would suggest, if you have time and if you really want, if you're serious for that, I would suggest go for the React docs. So there they will cover most of the aspects of React programming. I think, yeah, that's a good place to start.
Got it.
And also, like when you start, what people do is they go through the docs, they go through all the theory, they know like this is how it is done, but they don't practice it. They don't have a hands-on experience on what the doc says. So I think they have pretty like very good exercises on the docs as well. So you can try it on your own, so that it will boost up your confidence that yes, you can do it. And also you can enhance that exercises to like whatever the exercise is, you can do some changes here and there to see how this actually this React works. You can make changes, you can improve it, you can break it. It's good way to learn, actually. if you want to learn anything, you have to break that code and then fix it, and then see like what went wrong and how to fix that kind of thing.
Got it. Makes sense. Okay. Sakshi has a question. How many CTC we can expect as a fresher front-end developer?
Again, we are here talking about numbers. There are many companies which they start with 5-6 LPA as well. There are other companies which give you 20 plus LPA as a fresher. So it depends on what companies you are targeting. uh,
Right.
Because if you would like to add some more, you can.
Yeah. So yes, actually, absolutely, as Anil said, like it can go anywhere from 3 LPA to 20 LPA, depending on the company, what industry is the company in, whether it is a product based, services based, whatever. So it can differ definitely. Okay. Anil, in general, do you think the front end development of a web app and the front end development of a mobile app, like are they different or are they similar?
Web apps and mobile apps, actually they are different. If we talk about web apps, they need not be downloaded. It can be used via a web browser. But if you
Right.
talk about mobile apps, you have to download it from App Store, Play Store, whether depending on whether it is Android or iOS. And also the tech which is used to develop these apps. For web apps, mainly you'll need is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And for mobile apps, you'll either require Android Studio for Android, and Objective C or Swift for iOS apps.
Okay.
So yeah, so and as I said, so for different devices, for mobile apps, the development, it is said it is like expensive, because you have to maintain different teams, you have to maintain different code bases, you have to maintain it, so it is quite expensive. At the same time, if you go for web apps, it is comparatively not that expensive, because the code base is same for all the devices, whether it be laptop, whether it be mobile, whether it be a Mac, or whether it be Microsoft laptop, anything. Okay. And yeah, so that was pretty much the difference. And we can talk about differences like what to say, mobile apps, they are considered faster, mainly because they have a better control over the operating system, over the system resources like
Right.
camera, the storage, and everything. Similarly, like web apps, they don't have that greater control over these system resources. But this difference is also getting, this gap is also getting thinner by PWA. We have progressive web apps, wherein where we can have control over camera, we can have control over GPS. So with the as PWAs are becoming popular, this gap is becoming thinner.
Got it. Okay. Um, so and what about like there are some hybrid apps also, right? Like which can be used in both Android and iOS, like
Right.
native and languages like React Native and Ionic. So how different are they from like how different is like React Native from React?
So basically, most of the syntax, if you are familiar with the React, I think you are good to go for React Native as well. The difference would come in the setup when you start setting up a project for React Native. So that is a little complex compared to React. So, but again, once you have the setup, the structure for the syntax for React and React Native, it is more or less the same. So when it comes to coding, I don't think there is much difference between React and React Native. And the benefit of writing in React Native is you'll have to write it once, and the compile code that can be used for both iOS and Android devices. So yeah, this way we can save on resources. For Android and Objective C iOS, we are maintaining different code bases. But
Right,
if we code on React Native, we are saving on space, and we are just maintaining one repo, and we'll have only one team. But if
right,
we for Android and iOS separately, then we'll have to have two developers, one Android developer, and then another iOS developer. But if we go with React Native, one developer will do the job.
Right. So that is why I think React and React Native are being used so much now in the industry.
Nowadays. Yes, actually.
Got it. There is Sudam. He has a question that I'm from 2022 batch. I had one backlog which I am going to clear in next month. So my result will come in 2023. I want to ask you that will it affect my career? I mean to get a job.
Hello. Yeah. So I backlog. It depends. It really depends on the company for which you are applying for. Many companies, they would want you to clear all your backlogs. They would want you to have a degree before you start working for them. But there are other companies which like they don't really they accept these backlogs and are fully welcoming. So it really depends on the companies, Saddam.
Right, absolutely. So yeah, yes, Sudam. Most of the companies, uh, I would say, allow maybe one or two backlogs. Okay, and you can clear it later on after some time. And some companies do not. So it's not a thumb rule that. But overall, in your career, it won't really make an impact. Once you have started working, then later on, no companies ask. Like when we are applying after 7 years, no company really bothers about our backlog or our colleges, anything like that. Okay. Okay, another question Anil Vicky is asking, sir, can I become a front-end developer in 5 months, starting from scratch?
Uh, for starting, you can become a front-end developer from day one if you have a basic understanding of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But yes, 5 and 6 months, it's a good amount of time to become a good front-end developer.
Absolutely. Cool. Gopal is asking, sir, on which platform we can apply for front-end developer jobs? Not getting any responses on applying on LinkedIn.
Hello.
Anil, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. There was a question from Gopal that on which platform can we apply for front-end developer jobs? Not getting any responses from companies on LinkedIn.
Okay. So basically, there are platforms like you have Naukri.com, you have LinkedIn, and you have other portals as well. I just it's not
Like Hirect, I think Hirect.
Hired. Yeah, there are platforms, and mainly like if you apply directly, so it gets somewhat missed by the HR, I would say. So a good way to approach a hiring manager or a HR would be through your friends and relatives. So if through referrals, I mean. So if you have someone working in a company where you want to apply, get in touch with them, send your resume to them and ask to apply on your behalf. So that would be a good approach to get a call for an interview.
Absolutely. Or they can also like start reaching out to, say, if you have to apply in Apple, you can reach out to other people working at Apple and ask them to refer you.
Right. They would be willing to help you because if you are hired, they will get a bonus. So
Right.
no one will said a no if you have a good profile.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Shubham is asking, sir, what we have to do to earn higher package as a front-end developer?
Sorry, because I lost you.
Okay. Shubham is asking, what should we do to earn higher package as a front-end developer?
Uh, of course, basically you'll have to have expertise in the front end technologies as we talked about, and again, over if you get experience, so there's a lot of demand for good experienced developers, and they are willing to pay higher packages. So that is one thing. Another is you can hop jobs. That is not recommended, I would say. You Many people, what they do is they work for a company and then they switch like quite frequently, and then they have offers from multiple companies. companies, they negotiate on them. I have offer one, offer two, and they keep on increasing the numbers. So that is again one thing I wouldn't recommend, but again, that's a way. uh, and of course, negotiating, this salary negotiating is a thing. So it's an art. You can of course read about this on various blogs. You can see like how to interact with the HR, like what are the numbers which that company offers. So the first thing which you should see for is the company for which you are applying. What is the average pay, what is the scale on which they pay. You should first do your own research, like how much the company can pay. Then if you know that company can pay this much, then you can go for it. You can quote your number, and that is, you can be adamant on your number. Like you can justify why are you asking that much number. No, you can say that you have that expertise. How can you be beneficial to that company? So these all things which you have to highlight to the HR, so that it's a negotiating technique, I would say. That is how you can get a good number.
Absolutely. Makes sense. Okay, cool. Another question from my side, Anil. So many students get confused whether I should study React or Angular or Backbone or Vue, or I should, like, once they learn React a little, they want to learn Angular also, they want to learn Vue also. So do you think that learning multiple JavaScript libraries or frameworks gives you a very big advantage as a fresher? Or if yes or no? And yeah, first let's cover this part.
So I wouldn't say knowing all these frameworks would really help you, because uh, as a fresher, you can't be master of all. So the hiring company knows it, right? So if you say that you are well versed with JavaScript, that is believable. And if you say that you are well versed with one or two frameworks, that is again, the company can believe that. And you have to pick any framework which you think like uh, the framework which you like, and that likes can be based on any set of parameters. For example, React. I love React because it is easier to learn, and I can start contributing from day one. But I don't. This is my personal preference. I would recommend React, but people are there who would go for Angular. Why Angular?
Correct.
Because it's a complete ecosystem. It's huge, and the learning curve is not that easier. You have to give some time, and you have to take out some effort. But again, it is a huge ecosystem. You don't It enforces a writing style, code style, the way you can write. So and it is maintainable for bigger companies. If you have a larger database, then people will go for Angular. So there are pros and cons for every framework. You can choose your own framework which you want to learn. I would suggest, you can go with React, because it's hot in market, and it's not going anywhere for like past 5-10 years, and it has a huge community support as well.
Got it. Makes sense. Right. Cool. There is another question. Okay, Kusum, your question was just answered by Anil, right? Yeah. Somebody is asking how many days required to learn React.
So how many days do we need to learn React? So
Yeah.
it totally depends up to you, like what time you are willing to give, what effort you are giving. Like people can be up and running in 3 to 4 days as well. Some people could take weeks, but I think 15 days is more than enough to learn React and start contributing. If you have understanding of JavaScript, if you have good understanding of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, then it's pretty much 2 weeks is what you need.
Absolutely. And Surya, your another question was around how much time required to become a front-end developer from scratch. So we had just discussed about it. I think anywhere from 3 to 6 months should be good enough. Depends on how much time you are dedicating in every day, how much you are practicing. But yeah, 3 to 6 months if you are doing it from the scratch, and if you're giving decent time. Okay. And in that time you can like expect to clear interviews also, and get a job. Okay. Okay. Any sir, any tips on how to apply to land an interview at least? So somebody saying my skills are on React and Next.js with a lot of projects. I have applied through different sites, but nothing is happening. So any tips on how to apply to land an interview at least?
All right, Vikas. So this is what we discussed
Right.
previously. Like the one good approach is to first identify the companies which you want to apply for, and then what you can do is you can search for your friends and relatives already working there. Even if you don't have any friends or relatives working for that company, what you can do is you can search for employees working for that company, and you can make connections to them. You can send them messages that this is my profile, this is my resume, you can see my portfolio, and if you like it, and if you think like I'll be a good match for the job profile which you are applying for, then you can ask them to refer you, and they'll be more than happy to refer you if they find your profile a good match. uh, so this is the best way to land a job interview. and
Makes sense.
and these profiles which has been referred by the employees of that company, this is again a given preference because it has been referred from someone within the company.
Right. Also, that person can follow up,
Follow up.
yeah, from the HR, that what is the status of the profile. So better would be to go through the referral way. Okay. Kanmani is asking, can I apply for front-end developer job if I am a working professional in support field? Do recruiters look only for experience? Can I able to switch my job from support to development? So Kanmani, we have already covered this. Okay. A similar question we have already covered. The answer to this is yes, you can. You can change your job or your role from support to development. Many people, in fact, do this every year, every few months. Okay. Just focus on gaining the skills. If you want to become a front-end developer, identify the skills that are required. We will be sharing a detailed roadmap very soon. So just learn all those things and start giving interviews. There are many companies which allow freshers also. Okay, so don't worry. Okay. Uh, Mahesh is asking, sir, what is the role of Bootstrap in web development?
Bootstrap is again used for faster development. It offers some pre-processed CSS and some components which are no already built. You just have to consume it, the styles and the components. So it is used for faster development, I would say.
Hmm.
But as I said, if you are going to write your own HTML and CSS, that will be more time consuming and it would be more error prone. But if you go with Bootstrap, CSS and JavaScript, Bootstrap CSS and JavaScript, that will help you write your code faster and do the development faster.
Absolutely. Okay. Anil, one more question from you. So somebody is asking, in the industry, do you use Create React app, or you set up the React environment from scratch for any React project?
So it again depends from the company to company. Most companies, what they do is they go with the React Create React app if they want SPA. If they want more control over it, though, what they do is they set up their own project from scratch, and they build incrementally on top of that. But mostly I would say in my experience, all the companies which I went to, they use CRA for single page applications. And for if they want server-side rendering also, then they can use Next.js. This is about the React thing.
Absolutely. Okay. Gopal is asking, will gap of 1 or 2 years after graduation in getting a job, will it affect my interviews? Will interviewer ask me what you were doing after graduation?
Yeah, many companies do ask like why is there a gap after your graduation. So if you have a genuine reason, then you can justify that gap. and the company that's good to go, like you can continue with the hiring process. But uh, if it's not a good reason, then companies sure do look down upon it, and like they think otherwise, and they think like it's not a good match for them. But there are many companies which they don't uh, take it negatively, this 1 year gap, if you're able to justify it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cool. Anil, another question is like regarding the companies that you have worked with. So, like, do these companies like Amadeus, Airtel, Paytm, Zomato, do these companies hire freshers? And if yes, like, what are the rounds that they normally have for freshers?
So yeah, my previous companies, they do. I think there's a lot of noise, background noise. Apologies for that, guys. I think the previous companies, they do hire freshers. Mostly they go to colleges to hire the freshers, and they do also invite referrals. If you go via referral, sure, they are accepted. And talking about the interview process, so the interview process at all these companies is more or less the same. It starts with some hands-on coding, which could be, you would be asked to convert a design into HTML and CSS, so that the company would get a understanding of how well versed you are with the front end technologies. So this is one thing. And after that, you'll have a couple of rounds for freshers. I'm talking about, you'll have a couple of rounds based on problem solving, and the other round would be based totally on JavaScript. Mostly 3 rounds, and afterwards you'll have hiring manager, where you'll discuss about your past projects, which is really important. If you are able to talk about your projects, it gives a good impression that yes, you have worked on your project, and you know what you have worked with. Okay, so that helps a lot. So yeah, this is more or less about the interview process of the companies I have worked with.
Got it. Got it. Anil. Okay, and um, like, do you think that there are any other skills also required for our students to get a good job in the IT industry? Like, apart from the technical skills, any other skills that are required right now?
So yeah, apart from technical skills, we talked about front-end technologies. You have to have some soft skills as well, in order to work with the other team members and stand out. One of the thing would be being a team player as well as individual player as well. By team player, what I mean is you have to work with different developers. You are not the only one coding. There are other developers contributing to the code. So there has to be a lot of knowledge sharing, so it is really important. So be a part of code reviews, do code reviews, and no ask for code reviews for your code reviews. So that way you can get different perspective of the, like, for a piece of problem to be solved, there are different perspective. You might think other way, the other people might think otherwise. So that way, if you discuss, and then this discussion would help you come up with a best solution. So this is one thing. And the other thing is keep learning, I would say. Uh, if we talk about front-end technologies, every passing day you have something new coming up in JavaScript or CSS. There are a plethora of frameworks, libraries, they are coming up. Browsers, they are updating themselves. Uh,
Right.
Different security threats and how to cope up with them. All these things are coming up. So you have to be updated. So keep on reading and keep learning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Makes so much sense, Anil. One person is asking, sir, can you explain full stack development?
So yeah, this session was mostly about front-end development. So I think it is mostly covered. Talking about back-end developer. So this back-end developer is the guy who will be writing a lots of complex business logic, and he'll be designing the schema, the database designs and how to access them. They will expose APIs and everything. They'll be well versed with AWS, Elastic containers, where the code is hosted. and the API gateways and everything. So these are the things which is taken care by a backend developer, but it does not mean that you don't have to have an idea of these backend design. You should get an understanding wherever you are working. You should have an understanding of the product architecture which you are working on. So I think again, as I previously said, that being a team player, knowledge sharing, it is important. So you share some knowledge to the backend developer, the backend developer should share some knowledge. So ultimately, when you have these knowledge, you become a full stack developer. You may not be working on it, but you have to have the knowledge on it.
Absolutely. Great. Thanks, Anil. Cool. So we have talked about a lot of things, Anil. Now let's try to create the roadmap only. So I'm sharing or could you like tell me if we have to create a roadmap for a fresher. Okay. So who is like very new to the industry, what are some of the things that he should learn to become a good front-end developer? Let's say we have about 4 to 5 months of time. So what are some things that they need to learn? We can start from the scratch if you want. Anil, I'm sorry, you're on mute.
All the time I was on mute because of this background noise. Sorry, guys. Like people would ask you to start from HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But what I would say is stop there, take a step back, and you should learn about how internet works, how a web browser works, what a domain name is, what hosting is, no, how what HTTP is. So these all things you should the fundamentals and how this browser works. These kind of thing you should know prior to starting HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So once you have this understanding of how browser works, how internet works, then you can move to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in this order only. Uh, when it comes to HTML, then you can start with the basics. You can learn about the tags, the semantics tag as HTML has, and you can try creating forms and do some validations. You can read about the best practices of HTML, so that will also help in SEO. So this was about HTML. Then you move to CSS. For CSS, you'll have to learn the basics, and then you'll have to learn how to make layouts. You'll have to use grids and the flex boxes. These kind of thing you have to learn in CSS, and it is the CSS which mostly makes the website responsive. No, you can
Right.
you can have a good view on the mobile, you can have a good view on the tablet and desktop. So these are achieved via media queries is one thing you can learn about this. So this was HTML, CSS, and after you are done with HTML, CSS, then comes JavaScript. So this JavaScript is used to make your HTML interactive. No, user can interact it, you can do a lot of things. So when it comes to JavaScript, you can start with JavaScript basics. You can start with JavaScript syntaxes. You can do loops. You can learn about the data types, what is objects, and then you can learn about other JavaScript concepts like prototypes, event bubbling, inheritance, hoisting, and all those things.
Right.
uh, okay, so when you are done with this, you'll also have to learn to interact with APIs. So any website, it fetches some data from the backend. So this fetching of the data, it is done mostly via Ajax calls. So you should know how to make Ajax calls from JavaScript. So these are the things. When you are done with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you are kind of a good front-end developer already, but it is not restricted to that. When you go to a company, you are expected more and you are expected to learn more. So there, what happens is you are not the only front-end developer. So there are many front-end developers who will be contributing to a product. So in order to manage these versions of control, your code and your other team members code, you use version control systems. So in short, you must know what a Git is. So
Absolutely.
we use Git. It could be GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket to manage your code. And apart from that, once this is done, apart from that, you have some web security tools security. You should have some web security knowledge. You should sanitize HTML and CSS before consuming it from any user. Because you must know about SQL injection, so how it is done, what is CSRF attack, XSS attack, all these things you should know. And apart from this, when are well versed with coding HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you should have a basic idea of the build tools. So when I say build tools, these are like Webpack. Webpack is used to bundle your code. So basically, when you write any HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you have multiple files. But when you build it, it should be one single file. When you fetch any website, it is just one index HTML file, and all the JavaScript and the CSS are mostly combined into one file. So these compiling and these bundling, it is done via build tools. So one is a Webpack, which you can use, and there are other tools like linters and formatters, which I earlier talked about. That is Prettier and ESLint, which will help you do development faster.
Okay.
Okay, so this was pretty much it. Now again, when you work at any organization, so your code is not limited to that only. Your work is not limited to that only. Other thing is, you have to test your code, whatever you write. So you have to have a basic understanding of writing unit tests. So you have to write testable code. This, and again, for testing your application, you can use React library, React testing library. There's a framework. There are other frameworks which you can use, just Enzyme, to test your code. So that's another thing. And when you are done with all these things, so then there comes another technologies like PWA. You should be. Oh, sorry, I missed one thing. So when you are well versed with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and you want to contribute to coding, so you just don't write JavaScript, plain JavaScript. Why? Because again, it is time consuming and it is error prone. So ultimately, you'll have to pick one or two frameworks like React or Angular or Vue. It is taking up.
Right.
So you'll have to learn. You have to give time to ramp up on some UI framework like React or Angular. That's one thing. And apart from this, you'll have to learn other web fundamentals, like you'll have to learn about storage in a browser. Like you have local storage, session storage, we have cookies. You need to know the difference between all of them. This is pretty much like, this is very frequently asked questions in any interview. Then you
Right.
can learn about what PWA is, how to create a PWA. You can know, make your own. You can do your own exercise and you can create your own PWA. So that will boost up your confidence in front end development. So yeah, this was pretty much it. And after that, you can learn other desktop applications, like you have Electron. You have, yeah, Electron is what I know. And then you have mobile applications, like you have React Native, Flutter, Ionic, and all those things. If you want to move to mobile development, or you want to move to desktop development, it depends.
Got it. Got it. So based on what you have mentioned, I have created a sort of uh, small document. I've tried to include most of the things that you mentioned. I'll just be sharing that with everyone here. Just give me a minute, everyone. Cool. Cool. So we have. I'll just be sharing this document, everyone. Just in a minute. Okay. Meanwhile, since we have time, let me just share my screen and let you know more about Geekster. Okay. So some people have been asking about Geekster, that they want to get enrolled to Geekster, and um, what kind of courses do we have, right? So to cover everything, I would suggest you can visit www.geekster.in. So what is Geekster? Geekster is a platform where we help you build your dream career in technology. Okay. So we have courses. Our main course is the full stack web development course. Okay, where you get trained uh, by top industry experts, and we help you get top tech jobs in the industry. Okay, so you'll get all the details of Geekster on the website. Our placement rate is more than 92%. Our average salary so far has been 7.43 LPA. 21 LPA has been the highest salary that any of our students have got. Okay. Um, we have mostly two courses right now. One is a data structure track going on, which is a short course, right? It's a 4-month course, and this is the fees over here. Okay, and we have a long course, which is the main course, which is this course, our full stack web development program. Okay, so all the details about our full stack web development program you can get here. Just go to courses and full stack web development. So it's about 2 hours of 2 to 2.5 hours of classes daily, and then 2 hours of self-study is what we ask for. The duration of the course can be from anywhere to 3 to 8 months. Okay, so it is up to you what all classes or what all things you want to study. So our first part has Java plus data structure, second part has web fundamentals, and third part has Mon, which is Mongo, Express, React, and Node. Okay, so you can learn about our courses, our syllabus here, who are your mentors, your educators, all of these things you will get to know here. These are some of the ex-students or alumni of Geekster, okay, who have got good jobs and they have given their reviews about the courses. Okay, so all the details you will get here. The best part about the courses at Geekster is that you have two options. One is the pay upfront fees, or one is a pay after placement model. So in a pay after placement, you don't have to pay any fees upfront. You have to sign an agreement, and depending on how much we have a minimum salary commitment of 5 LPA. Okay, and if you get a job of 5 LPA or more, then you are supposed to pay some fees to us. The total fees is around 2 lakh plus GST. Okay, and if you pay upfront, the fees is reduced to 75,000 rupees plus GST. But the good thing is that here also we have a 100% money back guarantee. So if anybody does not get the job as we are committing, then we refund the money completely. Okay, this is a certification program, so you get the certification on after you get a job. So everybody, that's pretty much about Geekster. You can go to our website, you can click on apply now, and you can enter your details over here, and one of our representatives will reach out to you if you want to get enrolled in the class. Okay. Anyway, we have shared the link over here. I hope you all can see that, the resources link. Okay, so that's pretty much about it. Anil, thanks a lot again for joining and for sharing all your experience, all your expertise over here. Any other final parting words or any other tip that you would want to give to our students?
It was a pleasure talking here, Vikas, and sharing my experience. Talking about any parting words, I would say stick to the basics. Just don't, like in this case, just don't aim for React, Angular. Just stick to the basics. Learn JavaScript first, and then you can move to other frameworks. That is one thing. Other is keep learning, because every day the technology is changing, new things are coming up. So you should be updated with the trend.
Makes sense. Cool, great. Uh, Great. Thank you, Anil. Thanks once again, and have a good weekend. Um, it was a pleasure talking to you. It was very enlightening for me and for all the students over here to get to know about all of these nitty-gritties of front-end development. Many things are such that we have heard through somebody, but we don't really know what is true and what is not. So I hope this session was very helpful. I'm pretty sure the session was very helpful for our students. and many of their doubts got resolved today. Cool.
Vikas, thank you everyone. I hope this session was helpful and you'll make a wise choice in choosing your career path. All the best.
Great. All the best, everyone. We will meet again next week with another interesting session for you. Okay. Take care. Have a good day. Happy weekend. Bye-bye.